radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Good evening. Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. Yeah. So good to be back. It's Monday. Monday, July 16th, 2018. 197 days into the new year, just 168 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in beautiful downtown Burbank, California, and I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the Planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? It's Monday. What an amazing week we have got in front of us here on Fade to Black. Tonight we have very special guests with us. Special effects master, guru, director, filmmaker, Steve Neill is here. He's got a new series out. It's called But Something Is There. Yeah. First episode is out. We're going to be talking about that. His life and career right here in Hollywood, California, and maybe a little 2001: A Space Odyssey too as well, if I get lucky tonight. And that's going to be an amazing conversation, so stay right there. Tomorrow night, Laurie McDonald is back, and she just arrived from Geneva. She was out there for a conference sponsored by China. That's right. And so we're going to talk about, that's why the show was called Journey to the East. She's got some amazing intel on the history of UFOs in China that she has just received. So we're going to go through all of that tomorrow night with Laurie. Wednesday night, again, a very special night here on Fade to Black, because Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, the creators of the hit film The Endless, join us for the very first time. And the film is amazing. I recommended it to everybody last month. And your responses from the film were all that mirrored mine. And I remember when Rita and I got about halfway through the film, she just looked at me. She goes, "You're not going to shut up about this, are you?" I said, "I'm not." We got to the end of the film. She goes, "Jimmy, we have a show to do tomorrow night. Don't lose it. And, don't get lost in the film The Endless." It's truly an amazing film. It's a hit film, and it's what everybody is talking about right now. But we are lucky in that Justin and Aaron will be here on Wednesday. They've been out of the country. They've just gotten back. And the second that they were available together, same place, same time, will be Wednesday night, and they're going to be right here with us. The film and I don't want to give any of it away, but if you go to JimmyChurchRadio.com, there's a link there for Aaron and Justin where we normally have a link for our guest's website, right? Okay. Click on that link. Okay. And just click on that link. That's all I'm going to say. Just click on that link. That will give you an idea of what the film is about. And it deals with, without giving too much away, UFO cults. Okay, cults. I mean, like, I don't want to give anything away, but, you know, a UFO death cult, I should say. And time travel. That's right. And there's a couple of moments in the film that are pretty spectacular. And one of them involves the moon. You've got to check out the film. It's absolutely amazing. The film is called The Endless, and Justin Benson, Aaron Moorhead here with us Wednesday night. Thursday night, another Fader night. Open lines all night long. The call-in numbers are 323-825-5045 or 323-275-9695. You can join OnStellar, OnStellar.com. It's very simple. Just go and register. Come and join us over there. It's an amazing social media platform built just for this community. Go over and hang out, and you can check out my rant that I posted in advance tonight over at OnStellar. Okay, and if you've already read it, then you know. And I've given everybody the heads up. Okay, you can go as I write and research and get my thoughts out during the day. Sometimes I'll turn around and take that, grab it, and just post it over at OnStellar and call it Fade to Black Notes, because that's what they are. And it gives you a little sneak peek into my mind and where I'm at. Well, you can check out my latest rant over at OnStellar.com. I posted it up on Twitter. It's over on Facebook, too, as well. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Very simple, at JChurchRadio. Follow me there, and then hashtag F2B is the sandbox, where we hang out every single night in real time during the show. All of the Fadernauts are there, and you will get to also see all of the dancing GIFs that get posted. This go-kart shot is pretty wild. I wonder how real that is. That's pretty cool. Over the weekend, are you guys watching Succession? If you haven't, you need to check that out. It's a really cool series, new series over, watch it from the beginning, over on HBO. And also over the weekend, we went back and binged Firefly. That's right. We went back and binged Firefly. We're going to wrap up the whole thing with Serenity, the movie. We haven't gotten back around to rewatching that, but yep, we binged Firefly over the weekend. What an amazing series that was. Absolutely amazing. Where am I at here? Hashtag F2B on Twitter. And what was I knew that was going to get tweeted. Let me get back to this. I wanted to watch, our guest tonight, Steve Neill. You can go to his IMDb page and look at some of the films. It's a huge amount of stuff that he's worked on over the years. But there was a film there that is one of my favorite films of all time. But I've only been able to see it twice. It has disappeared. It's impossible to find. I'm going to have to probably order some strange DVD version of it. It's called Highway to Hell. And Ben Stiller is in it. Jerry Stiller is in it. Very small roles. But it's just this really cool underground sci-fi flick that came out in the mid-'90s. And probably before Zoolander and Ben Stiller's career taking off. But anyway, it's just an incredible film, and it was something that has never escaped me. There's a couple of really cool moments in the film, and it's really well made. Anyway, I saw that Steve Neill did the model making on that film. He's done so many films, he probably doesn't even remember working on that one. But so I went to go find it this weekend, and it said it was streaming on DirecTV. It's not there. I searched for it on Amazon streaming. It's not there. Netflix. It's not there. I don't know where this film exists, and I've gone through this before. It popped up on DirecTV in the 90s. I watched it and then watched it again, loved it, and then it disappeared. Highway to Hell. It's an amazing film. Amazing. Anyway, Steve Neill worked on that film. Did I tell you? All right. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. Any questions or comments during the show, you can hit me up right there in email. Also, if you have any questions or comments and you want to pop in something into Twitter, hashtag F2B is Fade to Black Questions. Hashtag F2BQ is right there. Okay. I got a really nice message from River Moon Coffee over the weekend about thanking everybody for their promotion that they're doing right now. It's 20% off of all of their offerings. It's called Take a Break, a coffee break. All you have to do is click on the River Moon Coffee banner right there at jimmychurchradio.com, rivermooncoffee.com, and order. Use the promo code Coffee Break. Coffee Break. 2 words, and you're going to get a 20% discount on everything, including our Fade to Black blend. Yeah. All right. And, I keep getting notices about Another Earth. What is this? Have you seen Another Earth yet? Highly recommend it. I'm so going to see The Endless this weekend. Yes, you need to see The Endless. You need to see The Endless before Wednesday. That's what you need to do. Why are we not streaming on KGRA? I don't know. I don't know why you're sending me that message on Twitter. I can't do anything about that. You need to contact KGRA. I can't do anything about that. Let's see here. Another Earth. I heard about this, and I will check it out. There's another film that just came out on Netflix. It's called, what is it? This is the End. Not The Endless, by the way. But that looked pretty interesting, too, as well. I'm going to have to check that out. Where am I at? Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. We have over 885 shows. I can't believe we're closing in on 900 shows. Holy crapola. Do you remember how many years ago it was when we got to, I don't know, 100, 200, 300, 400? Maybe it was 500. And I said, I'm not going to post anything until we get to show number 1,000. I remember saying that, and we're almost there. And I remember that. I think it was 500. And here we are. We're closing in on 900. And when I posted that, I was like, man, 1,000. That's years away. Well, here we are. Wow. Can't believe it. 900, 1,000. There you go. 1,000. What is that? 5 months away? 6 months? I don't even know. Somebody do the math. 16 shows. 10 months would be 160. See, that's how I do my math right there. So then to get to that, you get that. Yeah, what is that? 6 months? We'll be at 1,000 shows? Is that right? Somebody do the math. If we're at 888 tonight, you could even post the date. Yeah, Tanette just said it was 500, right? We are at 900. That is funny. So what is the day and date for show number 1,000? Let's see who can nail that one down. I want to see that posted up here on Twitter. Show number 1,000. When is that going to happen? All right. Don't forget, you can become a Fadernaut over in our membership section where you get the bunker cam. You can even get commercial-free downloadable archives. If you get the Game Changer, you get that autographed Fade to Black gear, hats and shirts and all of that fun stuff. And you also get a private email to me. All right. All of our sponsors are amazing here. Life Change Tea, getthetea.com. I posted a picture over the weekend, and I don't do this often, but I did because I was sitting here in the bunker taking these supplements, and I just want to show you guys. This is what I do every day. I do G.I. Joy. I do pine bark. I do moringa. I do, these are all drops. I do olive leaf and vitamin C every single day. Oh, of course, the thing I'm not supposed to mention because, you know, YouTube doesn't like it. There it is, 500 milligram droppers of CBD. Every single day, Life Change Tea. Use the promo code FADER. Do what I do. Follow I do the colostrum, I do the tea, I do the G.I. Joy, and then I do all of the drops right in a row. It tastes so good. I feel great, but I'm also addicted to the taste of those drops. Go to Life Change Tea today and get yours. Promo code FADER will get yourself some free shipping. Don't forget about River Moon Coffee, Sacred Skulls, New Mana Food Storage. Our link is down at New Mana, by the way. I think the promo code is still good, though. We're going to get that fixed. It went down last month for a couple of hours. We'll get that fixed. New Mana Food Storage and Bearing Optics. And with that, let's get the show cracking. Lots to talk about tonight. Will Ferrell today is 51. I mentioned Ben Stiller earlier, and every time I think about Ben Stiller, well, Meet the Parents, but the first thing that comes to mind is Zoolander. That's it. Will Ferrell makes the cut because of Zoolander. But here's the other thing. That show I was talking about earlier, also, Succession on HBO. Will Ferrell's not in it. He's friggin' producing it. And after watching Succession, I think after watching part of that film House, or whatever it's called, New House or House or whatever, he needs to just stick to producing. His days of being funny are way behind him. But anyway, happy birthday, Will. He is 51 years old. On this day in history, very important day in history, 1945, the Manhattan Project comes to an explosive end as the first atom bomb is successfully tested in Alamogordo, New Mexico. And then, also on this day in 1969, Apollo 11, allegedly the first U.S. lunar landing mission, is launched from Cape Canaveral, Florida. I jest. No, I don't. Am I? I'm not. But it was still on this day in 1969. Now, my Fader fact tonight is about as hard to believe as anything. But they're all vetted. It's all real. Here is your Fader fact. A small population of mammoths survived. That's right. On the Wrangel Island in Russia until 1650 BC. You thought they were all gone in the Ice Age, didn't you? 1650 BC. Or about 1,000 years after the alleged construction date of the Great Pyramid. Now put that in your pipe and smoke it. That is a Fader fact. All right, tonight, special effects master, director, filmmaker, Steve Neill is here. So get ready for that. Tomorrow night, Laurie McDonald is here. And Wednesday night, Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, creators of the hit film Endless, join the show. Now, over at On Stellar, I posted my notes today, and I'm going to do that now. Just listen to every word that I'm about to say. And some of this I have done in the past, but just listen to me. I'm going to start with this quote from Zbigniew Brzezinski's book, Between Two Ages. Quote, In the technotronic society, the trend would seem to be towards the aggregation of the individual support of millions of uncoordinated citizens, easily within the reach of magnetic and attractive personalities, exploiting the latest communications techniques to manipulate emotions and control reason. End quote. The book was published in, wait for it, 1970. Now, during my research over the last few years into the social media and gaming world, one name kept popping up over and over: In-Q-Tel. In-Q-Tel is the venture capital and investment wing of the CIA. Yes, the Central Intelligence Agency. That CIA. On their own website, you get this mission statement on the homepage. Quote, IQT works side by side with the venture capital community to identify great startup technology for our customers. Our areas of interest include cybersecurity, biotechnology, novel materials, remote sensing, deep learning for data analytics, and much more. End quote. Now, I know that you probably remember my reporting along with Brian Lunduke about IQT and its ties to Pokemon Go, Google, and Google Earth, all tracking software to know where you are, not necessarily where you want to go. Anyway, I also looked into the urban legend of LifeLog, the DARPA project that was funded by IQT and that was closed down the same day that, again, wait for it, the same day that Facebook launched. Well, now, if you go back and check like I did, it seems to be true. That date is right there. But that is not what is most important. What is important is that LifeLog and Facebook are essentially the same things. The same idea, the same platform, with one major difference. Logbook did it on its own automatic systems. Logbook did its own tracking of your life, all of it. And with Facebook, you input the information. Let me explain. The LifeLog platform would track you through sensors around the country, on streets and stores, online purchases, your phone conversations, your snail mail, your email, and compile everything about you in a day-by-day logbook. Everything automatically. Facebook does the very same thing, except you are the one inputting the data. You provide your location, your activities, your job, your family, friends, coworkers, likes, dislikes, politics, religion, even the images you use as proof. All of it. You do the work. You also allow Facebook to pinpoint your location, but you do it with the same GPS technology originally funded by In-Q-Tel and the CIA. That's right. It everything follows your purchases, your habits. It's evil genius. Today, with mass media and law enforcement, you hear the same thing over and over when a story breaks. You hear them say, well, we went and looked at their Facebook profile. You need to really think about that. With me, I'm a little different. Whether I like it or not, I'm a public figure, and I get that. My stuff is out there. I'm easy to track. And today, I have no more secrets, and I'm used to it. But, it includes my barbecue gatherings and my love of family and friends. It's all there. Now, if the media had to go back and check out my Facebook page for whatever reason, right, you would probably hear, well, it seems that Mr. Church has strange habits of grilling ribeyes and drinking chilled vodka. And if you think about it, at least I've got that going for me, right? Back in 2004, I can see why LifeLog was shut down in favor of Facebook for a few reasons. First, there was no need for Logbook and its method of data collection if Facebook was going to have the population of the entire world do it for them. And second, it removes the legal issues for Facebook because all they have to say is, we didn't collect it. They just gave it to us. But there is a third reason that probably wasn't as obvious. In 2018, we have tracking, sensors, cameras, live streaming everywhere. Plus, Every single aspect of our lives are connected to the internet that nobody dreamed of back in 2004. The Internet of Things. It is here. Today, there is no reason for LifeLog because it already exists. We give it to them with every smart TV purchase we do. Think about it. Now, here's something else that is bothering me, and it's the names, and it's right there. They're too close. LifeLog, Facebook. Scramble them up a little bit, and what do you get? Logbook. Is it just me, right? I don't think so. I know it feels strange to you, too, and it should. In-Q-Tel facilitates venture capital, and Facebook got it. And I'm not saying that In-Q-Tel funded Facebook, but the timing of the events is very suspect. Venture capital deals just don't happen overnight. They are complex. In-Q-Tel is out there looking for these types of projects, and LifeLog and Facebook overlapped. What probably happened was that one was turned into the other. Money was routed, names were changed, but the project goal was the same, to collect the daily activities, habits, and data on everyone. Now, as crazy as all of this is, you can go and do the research yourself. But please, remember, searching for In-Q-Tel, the CIA, LifeLog, and Facebook will definitely put you on the radar, and it'll be logged. I did. I was. And you know what? I'll do it again. Seriously. Just hearing me right now should scare you, right? It's like burn after reading, Well, when I originally reported on this, over 3 years ago, I didn't care about getting this out to the public. I just didn't. I covered it on Fade to Black. I covered it on Coast to Coast AM and also my history series, Breaking Mysterious. And I'll continue to speak up. I'll continue to speak out. I'm already tracked. I'm already monitored. I'm already filed and logged. But the truth is much stranger than fiction. And it's scarier, too. Think about that. All right, I'm going to get out of here. Our guest tonight is Steve Neill, and I can't wait for this conversation. I've been looking forward to this for a very long time. Tonight, it's Steve Neill. Tomorrow night, Lori McDonald is here. And then, of course, on Wednesday, Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, the creators of the film The Endless. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'll be right back with our guest, Steve Neill. Stay with me.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
What can I say about the most popular tea on the internet? And what do customers say about Life Change Tea at GetTheTea.com. A lot. But by federal law, we at GetTheTea.com cannot make claims to how this product can enhance your health. We cannot even post our testimonies without being in compliance. So how do we get past the hump? Try our products at GetTheTea.com and see for yourself. You can send us a testimony, but we just can't post it. Bummer. Our products are GMO-free and organic. We pride ourselves in being the best we can be, and we urge you to take charge of your health. We're 11 years strong, and many of our customers have shared their successes with friends and family. Protect your colon. Log on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. GetTheTea.com. GetTheTea.com.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Win big with KGRA this summer. Tickets and hotel accommodations to the biggest conferences, autographed books and DVDs, chances to win all-inclusive conference cruises, and private dinners with your favorite KGRA hosts. Click the contest tab at KGRAradio.com for your chance to win big this summer. Your contact for the best alternative talk radio on the planet. KGRAradio.com.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? It is Monday. Excited. This segment of Fade to Black is proudly brought to you by Life Change Tea. Just go to the website right there. Click on the banners. Use the promo code FADER, F-A-D-E-R. You will get yourself some free shipping. Tonight, it's Steve Neill. Tomorrow night, Lori McDonald. Wednesday night, filmmakers Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead. Thursday night, Fader night, open lines all night long. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, it is Steve Neill, who is an artist. He's a visual effects creator and filmmaker with over 40 years of experience in film and television. In 1971, he interned at American Zoetrope in San Francisco with, that's right, Francis Ford Coppola. He has worked on movies such as Star Trek, the Motion Picture, Ghostbusters, Fright Night, and, of course, Highway to Hell. I'm wondering if he remembers that. He has worked and wrote and produced the feature film The Day Time Ended. His work has been seen worldwide on such shows as Sightings, Paranormal Borderline, the History Channel's UFO Files, and a multitude of other documentaries. He owns a film studio right here in Ventura, California, producing visual effects, post-production, model miniatures, and you need to go and take a tour of his studio. And you can do that online and check out the work that he does. It's absolutely incredible, including creatures and prosthetic makeup stuff. And it's absolutely incredible. He's had lifelong experiences with non-human intelligence, starting when he was 6 years old. And he has just created, written, directed a new dramatic series about his experience. He tells the story without theories or conjecture and folklore, but rather an honest reporting of what he has experienced. You can see the trailer, and I have seen the first episode. It's really well done. Also, Yvonne Smith does a drive-by as well. I hope I didn't let the cat out of the bag, at least too much here. The series is called But Something Is There. Tonight we're going to discuss Steve's life of contact, making sci-fi films, and what it's like to combine the two into a TV series based on his experiences with E.T. And I would like to welcome for the first time to Fade to Black, Mr. Steve Neill. Steve, good evening.
Good evening, Jimmy. Thank you so much for having me on. And God, what an amazing introduction.
Wow.
Who is that guy?
I'm much more excited about this than you are. But before we get to it, before we get to it, Steve, I've got to do the first-time guest disclaimer. So let's get that out of the way. You ready? Okay. Yeah. It's just you and I sitting on my couch having a conversation as friends, and where the conversation starts, it starts. Where it ends. But we're going to end as friends. All right.
That's correct.
See, that was easy.
Very easy.
Okay. All right.
Painless too.
Yeah. I can go anywhere with you. But my first question is out of the gate. The film Highway to Hell. It's right there on your IMDb list. It's one of my favorite little guilty pleasures. And it's a film that I cannot find anymore. Do you remember doing the model making on that film? Do you remember working on it?
Well, yeah, I was working on the film for Randy Cook, of course, who worked on a lot of other big films like King Kong and Lord of the Rings, and did Gollum and all that stuff. But he had a small animation studio out here, in fact, real close to where I am now. And he and I had been friends for years, and we always worked together on projects. So I helped him doing some model making and assisting on animation and stuff like that. So, and I do remember it. I remember it quite well. But, I hate to tell you this, I never saw the film. I did that a lot. I worked on so many movies that I just sort of, a lot of them, sometimes I didn't see. But I was hoping your favorite film was Laser Blast, because that's the one I always get asked about the most. I know. Laser Blast is great, and
the gun, or the laser gun, the laser. I don't know. It's almost a cannon. I don't know. I remember it going over the full arm, but great film. But you are not. I say the same things that you are saying. All of my friends in the industry. I'll go back and talk about things that they've done. Dude, cool. I'm glad you like it, but never saw it. Right? It's just like, and my new series on History Channel, I haven't seen it. I've seen him working on it. I've seen him editing it. I did the voiceover work. I certainly shot it, but I haven't seen it. And I'm totally with you. I'm totally with you on that.
It's called getting busy, and we are both extremely busy, and so it's really hard sometimes to keep up with everything.
It's funny how I never thought that I would say these words, but I have forgotten more than I remember, and it's really true. We're closing in on 900 shows. You need to really stop and think about that. That's just Fade to Black, and then there's a couple of hundred other Coast to Coast, and there's the television stuff. I look back and it's just a blur. I don't remember hardly any of it.
My memory is pretty sharp. I mean, I'm kind of cursed with a memory that remembers almost everything in my entire life, day by day, and what the lighting was at the particular time when that happened, and and yet there are some things that were more recent, and I have a little problem with that. But overall, especially in my career, I remember most things. And I bet you didn't know that I was the alien in the beginning of Laser Blast.
Yes, I did know that.
Oh, shucks.
Yes, I did. I did. Oh, somebody just posted Laser Blast right here. This is great. You got to love our audience. They are really, really. Yeah, see, I would say that is a laser cannon.
Yeah. I'm recreating the gun right now for the 40th anniversary
of Laser Blast.
Yeah, and Neill is going to come up here and put me back in the makeup, and we're going to do a little video for the fans of the film for the 40th year.
I wanted to ask you about that. Any relation?
We were an item back in the early 70s, and when I met her, she was doing makeup for a rock band called Zolar X, and it was a space rock band. A really good one, too. And she was doing their makeup, and it was mostly all straight makeup. But when we met and got together, she was very fascinated with the prosthetic work that I was doing. And I was just starting out in town. I was working on the Planet of the Apes TV series and working for various people around town, because there weren't a lot of people in those days that did prosthetics. I mean, I was kind of on the edge of a new frontier. So, and she very much liked putting the prosthetics on. Now, V is very talented. I mean, she can draw. She's a good illustrator. She's going to kill me for saying this. And she can sculpt too. But she never really wanted to pursue that part of it because her expertise is taking a hunk of rubber or a hunk of silicone and blending it and coloring it so well into the actor's face that you forget it's makeup. And there are a few people in this town that can do that, and she's one of the best. So we were together for a number of years. We split up, and but we've always stayed friends and worked together on things. And so that's it. She.
Well, wait. I'm confused.
It's the name, right?
Right. You got together with somebody with the same last name?
No. What happened is that she decided. Everyone thought we were married, so we went with that, and she used the last name.
Oh, now it makes sense because I would see her name all the time, and yours, and I thought that is absolutely bizarre. Now we've cleared that up. Okay.
No, she kept the name. She asked me, "Can I keep the name?" When we broke up, she said, "It's a better Hollywood name," and I said, "Absolutely."
Oh, okay, all right. Okay.
I'm very proud of her. I mean, she really, really,
and lots of talent.
She's one of the biggest makeup artists in the town.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt about that. I thought I was losing my mind. Okay, so
no, you're not.
But that absolutely. I'm so glad that we can move on now because I've had that question answered.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, for those of us here in Hollywood. And this is, and I say this with respect to everybody that lives here in Hollywood, and Southern California, and Burbank, and Studio City, and so forth that are in the industry. We're part of the industry here because it's our lifestyle, but we are film fanatics. We are fans, and here in Hollywood, we will sit. I mean, at the end of a film, everybody sits around and reads the credits. Where around the country, film ends, everybody gets up and leaves. Not here. And so we know who is working on what films, and it's because what we do.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And think about the last episode of the last season of Westworld. I checked with a lot of people, and I said, "Do you see the ending?" And they said, "Oh, yeah, I saw the ending." I said, "Did you sit all the way through the credits?" They said, "Well, no. I mean, the minute the credits rolled, I was done." I said, "You didn't see the ending." And this is done quite often. It's a real pet peeve of mine. It drives me straight up the walls. I'll be at a theater, and up here in Ventura, they just get up, stand in front of you, go light up their cell phones and stuff. And I'm trying to watch the credits. The film's not over till the curtains close.
That's right. And I'm telling you, if anybody ever questions what you and I are saying right now, come to Burbank. We'll go to AMC 16 in downtown Burbank, right? Down from the bunker here. And we'll watch, just see who leaves the film during the credits. Nobody. Everybody is sitting there and reading every word of it. It's just what we do. It's what we do.
Because we know somebody, at least one person in there we're going to know. And so we're kind of looking for that. But when we're up here, Mary and I are the last people, and they'll come in to clean the theater, and go, and back out, because we're the last two people sitting in there, because Ventura is really not a film town.
Yeah, I know, I know stunt people, I know special effects people, I know shading people and lighting people, special effect, as well as actors and all of that stuff. But I will sit there and I will catch their names all the time from film to film to film to film. And that's the other thing that a lot of people around the country don't realize. There's probably 100,000 actors here in Burbank. 200 get the work, right?
Yeah.
Right. And it's the same thing with sound and special effects and makeup and stunt and camera work. The good film crews, though, once your reputation is established, you jump from film to film to film to film. You are never unemployed. And those names repeat, and once you see enough films and you're here, you get to see that, and that's really the truth. Also, it's a frustration. There are actors here that will tell you, "Man, I can't get work. It's always the same people that are." That's just the film industry. It's the way it is.
Welcome to our business. It is a tough one.
Now,
but
Okay. Did I just cut you off? Go ahead, Steve.
No, it's okay. I was just going to pontificate. It's fine. Go ahead.
Before we move on, we've got a lot to talk about with this new series and your life and what happened when you were 6 years old. So we'll do that at the top of the hour. I don't want to let one thing get away from me. Your model making is extraordinary. And through one of the tours that you do online, I didn't miss this. There is the Discovery from 2001. If I do visit your studio, you better go back and check after I drive away to make sure that is still there. I'm just telling you right now. It will fit in my car. But there it is, the Discovery, and it's absolutely incredible, done with your level of detail and expertise, but which says to me that 2001 is fundamental to you like it is to myself, is it?
Oh, absolutely. That is the film that it was 1968 when I saw it. I was 16, and it was the closest thing to a religious experience I've ever had. It just blew my mind, and it set me on my career course that I'm still doing to this day at 66 years old.
I watch it all the time, and here's my secret for Rita and I. We'll put on the film. We watch it, I would say, at least once a month for sure. But this is what we do. We put it on as we're going to bed, and by the time Blue Danube strikes, we're sleeping. And the dreams that come off of that film, because it takes you where you need to go, and we do it all the time. The dreams that have happened for myself and Rita. I mean, I'll wake up the next morning and just talk about some crazy stuff, and it's all because of 2001 and the way that it's done.
It's an amazing film, and when you come here, you're going to see other things like Moonwatcher's mask from the Dawn of Man sequence and the Star Child from the end. Figures of Gary Lockwood. Gary Lockwood's a friend of mine. I met him a few years ago just by chance, and he comes here and visits the studio fairly often. And the young people that I sometimes have here, he has a great time blowing their minds.
He lives up there, doesn't he?
Well, actually, he lives in Malibu, but
okay.
It's not that far from here. It's about 25-minute drive. So,
what about the other aspects of it? Because you're a model maker, you're a builder and a designer, and when you look at that, and not only the model making, but the fact that everything was shot on film. You know, that's before the life of CG, where we live today, for sure. How can it ever be topped?
No,
it can't. Can it?
No, it's absolutely perfect. Doug Trumbull is a brilliant human being, and not to mention Kubrick, but. The nice thing is that he had 4 years to work on those effects, and to do effects on that level using optical printers and big size models against black screen and blue screen and doing mattes and pulling mattes and not having matte lines jumping around the edges of the ships and stuff took incredible patience on such a level that I've never seen, because that film absolutely holds up today. And when I show it to young people, they don't understand how that could have even been done back then.
It's been talked about a lot, but it is certainly one of the best films that, you know, it's the greatest science fiction film ever made. I'm sure that, you know, at film school, that's exactly what's talked about first is the art of doing something like that. But there's also the other part, the storytelling, the science behind the film, Kubrick's attention to detail, all combined, all at one moment. And it's, you know, just like at the beginning of the film, right? The stars and the moon aligned, and that's what you get in the end, is nearly perfection.
And also Sprach Zarathustra, which is music about a human Superman. And if you look at the real story behind 2001, it's so pertinent today, and especially to my experience, to Whitley Strieber's experience, and so many others that are having these experiences with this sort of hidden in the shadows intelligence that was represented by the monolith. So there's a big correlation between this film and my own experiences, which is why I was so drawn to it. I learned much later on.
Now, I wanted to ask you this as well. With we've got about 8 minutes before the break. We should be able to get this in. The model of Discovery that was used in the film and what you have there in your studio, how big was the model for the film?
For the film, I believe it was 50 feet long. They also had a smaller one, but the big one was 50 feet. It was a monster. So, but you need that to get scale. Smaller models today will work better with the cameras and the technology we have. But back then, he wanted everything as big as it could be so he could get real scale out of it and real detail.
That's why it bends. If you know what I mean. It's what happens when you have that depth of field. Your version of it there, how many feet long is that? 5
I think it's like 3.5 feet or something like that. And it's a model that Mobius puts out. It's a Mobius model company, and they put out a lot of sci-fi models that are very, very well done, and from Star Trek to now 2001. And in fact, they have a large-scale EVA pod coming out next that I can't wait to get my hands on.
So I want you to help me out with this, with what Lucas did in Star Wars, and then going back to because that model making is extraordinary, and then going back to 2001. I mean, I had no idea that the Discovery was 50 feet. I thought it was 10 or maybe 12. I didn't realize it was 55 stories long. That's ginormous. So what about the level of detail? I mean, are they designing this with their face right up on the model, or are they working at it from, further back?
You mean the plastic model kit that I have?
No. I mean, just when you are designing for film.
Oh, well, I mean, if you take Star Wars, which wasn't, that was like 10 years later, roughly, the models for the X-Wings were quite small, and a lot of the other models. Now, I was at the place where they were shooting those miniatures, and of course the trench was large, and parts of the Death Star were large scale, but the actual X-Wings, I'm looking at one right now because I have a studio scale X-Wing, of course, and it's about 2.5 feet long or so, and highly detailed. So when, if I'm going to do a shoot and I'm going to have models, I still want it to be as big as I can do within reason, because you just get more scale out of it.
And then there's, things like, the laser blast gun or a face or a mask. Again, are you doing that to convince somebody if they were up really close, or are you just consciously designing for the camera and how it's going to shoot from 5 or 10 feet away?
Well, now that today everything is 4K and moving up to 8K when we shoot, we're outputting to 2K and 4K, but we like to have as much real estate as we can when we're shooting to work in effects. Everything has to look real, as if you're standing in front of it, 2 feet away. If a person's made up to look like an old person or a creature or an alien or anything like that, it has to look real in person, or it's not going to hold up on film.
Do you have one last quick question before the break? Do you have a favorite project? But before you say laser blast, is there one thing out there that says Steve Neill for you?
Geez, my first great experience. It wasn't my first film, but it was my first big film, was Star Trek: The Motion Picture, and I was friends with Fred Phillips, who did the makeup on the original Star Trek series and The Outer Limits. Incredibly wonderful human being. Called me up one day, and I thought was playing a joke on me, and said, "Do you want to work in Star Trek?" And I said, "Well, Fred, come on, Star Trek's been off for years now." He says, "No, we're making a film." I said, "What? You're making a movie, Star Trek: The Motion Picture, and I need you to come down here." And the first thing he had me do was Leonard Nimoy's Spock ears. And I still get chills thinking about that today, because I grew up with 2001, and Star Trek. And my favorite character, of course, was Leonard Nimoy as Mr. Spock. And that was my first job. So I got to work with that original cast, Gene Roddenberry and Robert Wise. That said Steve Neill. That was an amazing moment in my career, and I think about it almost every day.
How old were you?
Oh, I don't know, 25, 26, right around in there.
Man, that's insane.
Yeah, and I remember the night I was there late at Paramount, and I'm sculpting the ears, and the shadow blocks my light, and I hear this voice, "Are those my ears?" And I looked up, and there's Nimoy standing over me, and I'm getting chills right now because, Star Trek's, like 2001, is very important to me, and I love Gene, and I love the original Star Trek so much. I was blessed to be part of that.
Have you seen Star Trek Continues, the TV series?
Oh, yes.
Isn't it amazing?
I'm friends with Vic. Yeah, it's wonderful.
He's been on the show with us a couple of times, and I've had him on.
Oh, he has?
Yeah,
Terrific.
yeah, I've had him on Coast to Coast, too. I even had, you know what? You're a Valley guy. I went to, Vic and I went out and had dinner at Jerry's Deli in Studio City. Jerry's Deli. I got to sit with Vic for about 3 hours and just talk Star Trek and well, other things too as well. And we ate and had fun, but he is such a talent and that work and the way their love of the original series and how they do that is just amazing. I'm still blown away every time I see it.
Oh, yeah. And, he's always wanted to use, I built this big 6-foot-long model of the original Enterprise from scratch, and it's exact to the original TV show model. And he's always wanted to use it in the show somehow.
And you've also got the captain's chair, too.
Yes, I built one of those, too. So,
man, I want to be you. Just whatever goes. I mean, I've got to take a break right here, but, because of your creativity, pretty much, if you think it, you can do it.
Yeah, pretty much. I haven't been able to build my own rocket ship and go to Mars myself, but I'm still working on it.
Let's take a break right here. Our guest tonight is Steve Neill. Now, when we come back, he's got a new TV series. He's got a new series that he's worked very hard to get out, and the first episode is finished. We're going to talk about that. It's called But Something Is There, and it's about himself. We'll talk about all of that when we get back. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Does your basement or crawl space have a damp, musty smell? Well, watch out. That's a sign of too much moisture and not enough ventilation. And that can mean increased mold growth and the buildup of harmful toxins and gases. Don't bother with a dehumidifier. It just circulates the same unhealthy air. Now there's a better way to remove these dangers and odors. It's with the computerized Wave Moisture Control Unit that reduces moisture and expels pollutants.
We replaced our old dehumidifier with the Wave unit, and in only 3 weeks, our basement is dry and the musty smell is gone.
Wave units require no maintenance, no buckets of water or filters, and costs only pennies a day to run. Breathe better, live healthier with an affordable, no-maintenance Wave unit. Call 888-717-WAVE, 888-717-WAVE, or visit dryhealthyhome.com. Dryhealthyhome.com.
Ride the wave. Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA Digital Broadcast Station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy.
I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And I'm Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. And you're listening to Jimmy Church. The Revolution.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Steve Neill, filmmaker, special effects guru. I don't use those terms lightly. And this segment of Fade to Black is proudly brought to you by River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. And right now, just go to their website, use the promo code Coffee Break, 2 words, 20% discount on all of their offerings. Our guest tonight, Steve Neill. And Steve, okay, all right. I don't know. Let's clear something up really quick for everybody. Is the first episode of But Something Is There available to view?
No, not right now. I've been sharing it with people in the community and other filmmakers to get feedback and to spread it far and wide as I can. And we're also going to be having some screenings locally in town, in fact. And if I have a second here, because I know Steve Murillo is going to kill me, I'm going to tell you the name of the
View
the venue. I keep okay. There we are. UFO and Paranormal Research Society,
right?
And it's Steve Murillo, and at the
United Church in Studio City.
That's it. You know all about it. So on the August 21st, we are going to have a screening there. Yvonne's going to join me, and so we're going to have a little presentation and talk to the audience and then run the film. So, and we'll be doing this as often as we're asked to do it, depending on, whether MUFON has us speak in Orange County or something like that. Meanwhile, we are working on getting the money together, because this was all self-financed, the first one. I spent my own money, both Mary and I, to get this produced. So we're going to get money to do 5 more episodes, and then it's going to go to Amazon, where it'll be streamed. And hopefully people will like it well enough that we can do a second season. Now, reason that we did not take financing for the first episode is because my fear was, as this happens so often with this field of interest, is that Hollywood thinks it's all a joke and they try to turn it into science fiction and horror, which they did a really good job of with Fire in the Sky as one example.
Yeah.
Because if you've read Travis's book and then you see the film, it's like it's a WTF moment. So, and this happens quite often. And so I wanted to do this honestly based on my experiences best I could. And it was a struggle because, we had a low budget and we could only work with some of the people on weekends. And it took a while to do.
No, it's shot really well. But my question, which is a very direct one, you are exposing yourself, right? You're letting it out. That's it. It's all right there. How comfortable are you? Do you wince a little bit in that this is your story?
Yeah, Jimmy, I came forward about my experiences when I first started working with Yvonne Smith back in 1990.
Right.
I had done a lot of illustrations of the Greys that I've seen, which now have become iconic today. Everybody borrowed from it. I never thought to trademark it or copyright the images that I did, and so even Alienware has used it. So, and I had went on a number of television programs, and I was on Sightings, and additionally, I worked for Sightings and did the recreations and built the puppets of the Greys and did artwork. and many, many other programs. There was another program called The Other Side, which was a morning paranormal talk show that I went on with Carla Turner and some of the other greats of that era. And so I was all over the place. Whitley and I appeared many times together. So I'm used to it. And I did a lot of radio, and I did Don Ecker's program and a lot of other stuff. So I'm really not that shy about it.
Tell us about the first, because it's portrayed really, nobody's seen it but me, as far as my audience goes. So I've got that going for me. But the scene, that first night, you're 6 years old, you're in bed. I'll let you take it from there, but I just wanted to make this comment. The way that you shot it, I know that that's exactly how it went down. And I thought back to my life, like everybody would, and put yourself in a 6-year-old's mindset. It's actually a pretty terrifying scene. Take us through that, and just start from when you're in bed.
Yeah, well, I was in bed, and the thing about San Francisco, and one of the things I noticed watching it again recently is that when we had the film recut, the editor forgot to put in the sound effects of San Francisco, but you could hear where I was living was near Old Playland and near the Cliff House. That was that close to the water on 47th Avenue, the Richmond district of San Francisco. And you could hear the ocean. You could hear ships and their horns and the buoys. You could hear a lot of things. And even if it was late at night, there was still a real ambience of sound. What woke me up was the absolute silence. No sound at all. Nothing. I mean, I could hear myself breathe and I could feel my heart beating, but that's what woke me up. And it made me very, very curious. And I remember looking over the edge of the bed and looking around the room, and that's when it happened. And these lights, beams of lights, very coherent beams of light, silently came into the room and started searching around. This fascinated me. It gave me the chills. Yes, it was a little scary, but I was always a kid that loved looking at the stars and looking through telescopes and just had this fascination with the universe. So I got out of bed, and being cautious, I stayed close to the wall and inched along until I got to the windowsill, and then I slowly but surely creeped up to look to see where the source of lights was coming from. And when I did, it was though they had an intelligence behind them. They knew I was there because they immediately centered on me. That gave me a zing, and now I was a little scared because I knew something intelligent was behind it. So I crawled under my desk. I hid under my desk, and I thought I was safe there. I thought, these lights are outside the building. How are they going to get in the room? And I'll just stay there until they leave. And no, they came in the room somehow, and they came closer and closer, and then that's when I saw this shadowy image figure materialize, and that's when first time I saw something that we know today to be a gray, and it came close to me. And one of the things I left out of the film because it just didn't work. Every time I tried putting a person's voice in there, it didn't have a breathless feel to it. I felt it inside of me, and it said, "We're not going to hurt you. Don't be afraid."
Were you, you're 6, but were you cool with that?
Well, I'm kind of there right now because, like I told you, I have one heck of a memory, and I was deeply fascinated. I really wanted to know what was going on. I was afraid, though, definitely. I mean, how could you not be? But my curiosity was actually stronger. The next thing I knew, I woke up on the floor in front of my mom and dad's bed.
I want to back up. Also, there was another, and the reason why I'm asking you is because I know that everything is portrayed as it happened, and it's not Hollywoodized or sensationalized. So knowing that in advance when I'm watching this, I'm paying attention to what is going on because I realize this is a real experience that is being portrayed. There were hands on the window. Okay? And you know what I'm talking about. Did you saw that as a 6-year-old?
Now you're seeing something I didn't see, because you're saying that there were hands in the window, the window I was looking through?
After you got underneath the desk.
Well, we saw the hands of the gray or the visitor.
Yes, that's what I'm referring to. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
And that, how, as a 6-year-old, what was going through your mind at that moment? Because I can only imagine the adrenaline, your heart must have just about leaped out of your chest. You can't show that on the film. What was going through your mind? Because that moment really, really grabbed me.
Well, I was frightened, and I was to a point where my mind was struggling to stay awake, and I was fighting something that was overcoming me, and I just felt like I was going to black out, and I did. And you've heard this before. But I really wanted to stay awake to find out what this was, why it was happening. But I also had this very strong feeling that this was not the first time. This was the first time I remember it happening.
The memory that you had when you woke up, how crystal clear was it?
It was very crystal clear, but I couldn't remember anything else that happened. And this is where sometimes hypnosis can help, but I couldn't remember much more.
Did you discuss it?
No, absolutely not. I was a pretty smart kid, probably a lot smarter than I am now, but I just knew that if I talked about this, and now, again, this could have been something to have to do with the visitors themselves warning me not to talk about it. But I knew I shouldn't talk about it because if I did, people might think there's something wrong with me. And so it was my little secret.
Right. There's, I don't want to jump ahead because I want to come back and discuss this a little bit further. But there is the title, which is But Something Is There. And, well, where did the title come from? I'll let you go ahead and explain.
Well, you're going to love this one because and are friends with Whitley too. But I was at Lee McCloskey's house, and Whitley will always tell me when he's going to go there. It's close by to me, and he has events there, and Whitley was a speaker that night. So I went there, and Mary went with me. And at that point, we were just developing this, and the original title was The Experience, but Jeremy's got that title for a show, and I didn't want to use that. And then we had other titles, and somebody had that, and we were really in a conundrum about the whole thing. And so we're sitting there listening to Whitley talk, and what Whitley started to speak about was the fact that we really don't know what we're dealing with. We don't know what this intelligence is. We don't know where it's from. We don't know what it means particularly, only that it's real. And then he said, but something is there. And he doesn't remember it, which is funny. He takes my word for it. I said, you're the creator of the title. Mary and I looked at each other and said, that's it. That's just like the most perfect title we could possibly have because it really describes it quite well. And I don't know exactly what I'm dealing with. I can tell you what I think. I can tell you how I feel. But I don't know where it's from, and I don't know particularly if what I'm seeing is actually truly physically what I'm seeing, or it's a projection, and we're not seeing what's really behind the curtain.
The feelings can also change over the years. And I think that, well, you're friends with Whitley and so am I, and I've discussed this with him a lot. I think his feelings have also changed as to what he had experienced not only in the distant past but continues to this day. And his his ideas behind it have developed into other opinions and ideas. Is it the same thing for you now too as well? Did you go from one extreme to another, trying to figure this out?
Yes, I did. I always tried to keep an open mind to my own experience, and always tried to have a healthy skepticism about it too, and tried to eliminate all the possibilities of what could be causing me to have these experiences, which I really was never able to quite do. And in fact, up to 1987, when Communion came out, I knew something was up. I knew something was going on, but I still had not talked to anyone about it. And when I saw Whitley on TV and I saw that book cover, that's kind of when all hell broke out. I read the book, and this is when I knew that here's someone I don't know, I've never met, never spent any time with, had no way of communicating with, and yet we had more than similar stories and paralleled in so many ways growing up and having these experiences. So
the scene with you and your grandfather is pretty extraordinary. I mean, every sense of the definition of extraordinary. Tell us about that, and how old were you when that occurred?
Approximately the same age. I was maybe 7, but my grandfather used to tell me tales of being in Ireland and the fact that he saw little people and that he heard the banshee one night and a lot of other stuff. And they were great bedtime tales. And then one night we were out walking at night, as we often would do with the binoculars, because the stars in Marin County, this was right where the Frank Lloyd Wright Civic Center is now, were amazing because it was just this little town, Santa Venetia. I recently visited, went back to the site, and we're out there, and we saw this orange ball, and it kept coming closer and closer to us, and then it just kind of parked itself over us, and I knew then it wasn't a meteor. I didn't know what it was. He didn't either. Of course, what happened after that, and it left, it took off, moved off very quickly. We went inside and we were discussing it, and that's when my grandmother came in, and she was this huge skeptic, and she was always busting his chops about his tall tales. But I knew at that moment that I had just seen something with him, and that wasn't the first time. Another time I saw a ghost with him. So I knew that he was telling the truth.
What did he say to you? I know it's portrayed in the film, but what did he say when you two were alone?
Well, after the incident, he took me, I stayed in his little study at night when I'd spend the weekends there, and I loved being there. He told me about this story, and he was taking his mother home, and it was in a carriage with a horse, and the horse would not pass the old churchyard. It was dark. The horse was frightened out of its mind, and there's something disturbing it that was in the bushes. And so he got out and he went through them, and he got inside the tree line there right up against the church, and he could see someone sitting there with a hat on, with its head down, and he looked down at it. He said it had feet that looked like hooves. And it looked at him, and it scared the hell out of him. And he from his perspective in those days, and he thought it might be the devil or something like that. But it scared him so badly, and he never forgot it. And he told me that tale. Of course, fast forward to today, and the fascinating thing about the Greys, when I've been able to look at their feet, they do resemble hooved or cloved feet.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
And of course, this was something that caught Whitley's attention when we were first meeting, and I described the feet. He said, most people don't know or report that, because he knew about it as well. So
it also reminds me of Childhood's End.
Yeah, that's an incredible book. I wish somebody would make that movie correctly, but there it is.
The sci-fi version wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
It's a 3-parter, and I'm glad they did it like that because there's so much to tell in that story.
Mm-hmm.
But and they modernized it, and made it, updated for today. But nonetheless, the story and the ending are incredible.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole idea on who, or the vision of who E.T. could actually look like is pretty wild, especially when we look at all aspects of religion. Of course, I'm referring to horns and hooves and everything that you're talking about here. Now, okay, so going back to this, with your grandfather in the episode, the orange light looks like it actually gets pretty close to you guys. How close down did it get?
Real close, like that. And it had this sense of flames around it, and there was a slight ruffling sound I remember hearing.
It was... Okay, I need to ask these things as fundamentally as I can, because it's done so well, the way that you've done the visuals. It was close enough for you as a 7-year-old to know that it wasn't a meteor or something else. It was a craft.
When I was that age, and when I was there with my grandfather that night, I didn't know what it was. I was mystified by it because I've always been a space nut. I've always studied astronomy, and I always had all the charts on the wall of the solar system, and I constantly watched the night skies, and I've seen plenty of meteors, meteorites, some quite large ones with big plumes on them, and this was nothing like that. Later on, I found out that many people who have experiences also saw the orange balls. And as recently as the 4th of July, I had a friend over here the other night. I think that's when I talked to you the first time, and we were at the winery together, wine tasting party. We came back over here to the studio and hung out, and he said, so Steve, how was your 4th of July? And he was kind of uncomfortable, and I said, fine, John, why? And he says, well, anything strange happened? I said, no, what are you searching for here? He says, well, it's just that we saw these orange balls, 2 of them. So they're still seen. And I don't know if it's a craft. I don't know if it's something that's interdimensional or comes through time. I have no idea. All I can do is report what I saw. I felt there was something, a consciousness behind it. It definitely took notice to us. And that's the best I can offer until we get more data on it.
What do you make of, because you've been following and researching this subject for so long now, there are those out there that talk about a negative aspect to all of this, and those out there that say that it's nothing but positive. Of course, you have some that are right down the middle too as well, where it's going to be both. But with your experiences, what do you think is going on?
What do I think is going on? Well, it goes back to 2001. It seems to me that something has been watching over us for a very, very long time, and it may have had something to do with our evolution, much like it does in 2001, that it stays in the shadows. But I think my gut tells me that it has a lot of hope for us to evolve into something with a great deal more consciousness than we're possessing now, and more intelligence that will enable us to leave Earth and explore the rest of our universe, which is something we really need to do. I think as a race of beings, we'll change a great deal once we do that. I think we'll stop focusing on all the petty fights and issues and territorial disputes and everything else that's going on. And if you look at 2001, it's really what it's about. I mean, it goes from Moonwatcher throwing that bone up into the air to the next thing you see is an orbiting nuclear bomb.
I've got to take a break right here, but the days of disclosure seem to be upon us, Steve. This is a subject that has been in the mass media. It's kind of died out a little bit, but certainly December and January, February, and March, everybody was talking about the UFO question. Do you think that the agenda and disclosure is here? Do you think it's going to continue to be in the public spotlight like it has been?
I'm hoping that it does. I was actually quite surprised when the Pentagon released the videos and allowed the pilots to speak. I was also really surprised when I saw that it hit every single piece of mainstream media out there. That's never happened before. It's quite significant. And then in light of that, more documents were released. The British released more documents, and they're really not covering up a lot. The evidence, the proof that something is there, is right under our noses the whole time.
I think that's exactly where we're at. I just want the foot to stay. I want the pedal to stay depressed, right?
Yeah, I do too.
I think that's where we are. I don't know where it's going to go, but if it's going to get better, can you imagine what is next? Our guest tonight is Steve Neill. That's right. Special effects Steve Neill. He is here. This is Fade to Black. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this short break.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Hurricanes, earthquakes, wildfires. This year we've experienced more than our fair share. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. And last month I decided to make sure my family does not have to worry about food should we get caught in a real emergency situation. Introducing Numana, a healthy, storable product that tastes so good that you'll want to eat it every day instead of just during those times of duress. All Numana products have a 25-year shelf life, are MSG and GMO-free, no preservatives, and are made in America. With the Numana pack in your home, you'll be able to sleep at night knowing that you've protected your family. Not only have I tasted and tested, I own it. Now you can too. Just click on the Numana banner on JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code Jimmy when you order. In addition to a discount, we'll send you an autographed Fade to Black t-shirt. Seriously. Go Beckley Tappy.
Do you worry a lot? Whether you're a college student, busy professional, parent, or grandparent, ongoing stress and elevated levels of the stress hormone cortisol can rob your memory, your health, and your future. Now you can combat the effects of stress and anxiety while improving your memory and recall at the same time with the dietary supplement Calm and Clever. Studies show that the ingredients in Calm and Clever reduce cortisol by as much as 30% in 1 to 2 weeks. Call 1-800-758-8746 or calmandclever.com.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Steve Neill, is here. We're talking about his new series that he has directed and written, and it is called But Something Is There. It's about his experiences that started back when he was 6 years old, and this segment of Fade to Black is probably brought to you by Ancient Life Oil. I'm holding it up for the cameras right there. There you go. Ancient Life Oil, ancientlifeoil.com. I do, this is the cinnamon. Normally I do the natural CBD, but this is cinnamon, ancientlifeoil.com. Now, okay, Steve. Oh, man, I can only imagine what memories you had locked up inside you. And you went, how did you meet Yvonne Smith?
Well, I read about her in UFO Magazine, which was produced by Don Ecker and Vicky. That was the first kind of entrance for me into the UFO community, was finding their magazine. And I thought it was very level-headed and very straightforward reporting. It wasn't sensationalized, and Don was always a class act when it came to being very scientific about his approach to studying this phenomenon and not wearing a tinfoil hat. So, and then I saw an article about Yvonne Smith, and it was about her support group. Now, at this point, I knew something was going on. I knew that this was happening to me, and there were experiences happening right at that time. The hypnosis was great, but I really wanted to connect with other people who were having these experiences. So it was quite amazing to sit in a support group with these people who I later became friends with, and still am friends with some of them today, like Jesse Long and John Stone and some others, and to hear their stories, because I'd never met these people before. This is around 1989, 1990, and the internet's not a real big thing, and so I had no connection with these people and these experiences, and yet they would describe the same things, and it was eerie. I got more out of that than I did Whitley's book, because now I got to hear people from all walks of life, and most of them who did not want to be public about it, didn't want their families to know, tell their stories. And I got to hear things that were just mind-boggling, and that I actually plan to later on work into some of the other episodes, but Something Is There. The hypnosis was amazing too. So
we'll get back to that in a second. Have you seen the series People of Earth?
No.
Do you know what it is?
I've heard about it.
Okay,
but it's isn't it a series of interviews with people who have these experiences?
It's much better than that. It's a comedy.
Oh, okay. Yes, I have heard about it. I have not seen it though.
You've look. First off, you're gonna watch that. And I know exactly what's going to go through your mind. Now, it may be a comedy, and it is funny, when you're part of our community and you see something like that done with such respect, and it's so funny. Mm-hmm. I know what's going to go through your mind. Somebody talked, right? Because the attention to detail, whoever is on the team of writers there, somebody's an experiencer. Somebody has sat through one of these groups, maybe even Yvonne's, and wrote about it, because some of the other things, it's the words, it's the terminology, it's the visuals. They go to a UFO conference, right?
Yeah,
I swear.
I've been there.
right. It is just so well done. Anyway, just you need to go check it out. It's
well, I will, and I have no problem laughing about this stuff and making fun of it, because if you can't have a good laugh at something like this, then you're taking it maybe a bit more seriously than you should.
Yeah, you're right. And Rita, my wife, and I, we're watching it, and we're laughing, we're having a great time, and also saying out, this was made for us.
Yeah, isn't it amazing? How do these things get funded? You wonder, because somebody out there with some money probably had had the experience or knew someone that did. So
now, when one of the points that you just mentioned, but you also mentioned this in the first episode, is that you got more out of sitting there with the other experiencers, not so much that you were discovering new stuff, because that wasn't your point. Your point was you were hearing things that you thought only you knew. Tell me about that.
Oh, it's difficult to know where to start, but it would be about how they described being inside of what they thought was a spacecraft. I've never been clear on that, but the way it looked inside, the lighting, the way the beings moved, the way they described them, the instruments that I knew about that I hadn't shared that they knew about that were similar, these little like probes. Oh God, there's that word again.
Right.
But not that kind of probe. The kind that they held had this real bright light at the end of it. And there was so many little details that really got me. But one of the things that got me the most was I had an experience. I thought it was just a dream, and I was with this woman, a redheaded lady, and they had us together, and we were in this room. And so I'm at this support group, and Yvonne says, I want to introduce a new member. And she comes in, and I looked at her, and she looked at me, and it was completely shocking. We both knew each other on sight. Things like this happened.
Wait. Whoa. Pump the brakes here.
You need to bleed them.
Yeah. What are you saying here? Not suggesting. What are you saying? That you two were on a craft together?
There's that. I don't know that it's a craft. So many times when I would see an object approaching me, it would be a black hole moving across the stars, and that's how I knew there was something there. Then lights came out of it. Next thing I knew, after being pulled up into it, if I remembered that much, I would be in some sort of facility, and I really was quite large, and I really felt more like you were inside a structure, not a craft. So, but yes, I was with her in a room, and they were trying to get us to have an affair, to put it lightly. I don't know what the censorship is on this radio station, so I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, okay, we can use our imagination there. But
your imagination. You've heard about this happening where they put people together and they want them to interact sexually so that something is produced out of that as a result. I'm not sure what it is, but it happens. And I took all of this pretty much with a grain of salt, because it could have been just a dream. But when you see the same person walk in and you recognize them, and then they recognize you, that was pretty amazing.
Now this was 1990. Are you still
1990, 91, right in there?
Are you still in touch with her today?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not. The group has really changed since then. And I do go to them on occasion because Yvonne and I are friends, and I will put in appearances there and talk to the members there. And some of them are the original members, but not many, maybe 2 or 3 of them.
But the reason why I ask is after that group meeting that night, did you two talk?
Yeah, we did. And we started talking a great deal more, and basically, I kind of, because I was married, I had to back off on it because there was an attraction there. I know Whitley has warned me of this more recently, saying that you will be automatically, in a sense, attracted to another person of the opposite sex that's having these experiences, that it could happen, and to beware of that. And it certainly was true. And I remember, yeah, it really was. So,
well, Steve, did you guys compare notes?
Yeah, we did, and I told her what I remembered, and she told me that she remembered the same thing, pretty much the same. And it was, I mean, what do you do with that? It's still hard for me to believe, but it did happen.
Okay, well, let's explore this a little bit. Yes, you guys met again at the support group, but let's go back to the encounter in this room somewhere. Did things go to the next level, or did they not happen?
No, that's what I remember. And there were other times when that also happened, and I never met the person.
Okay,
it just didn't happen. And there were other times when the female didn't look human. And I did a drawing, which I'm going to put on Stellar probably tomorrow, of this sort of, well, they refer to as China dolls. And here's another case where I thought I was the only one that this happened to. And I had this experience. I come to on a metal table, and sitting on top of me is this sort of perfectly proportioned body female with bob dark hair and darkish eyes. They weren't pure black, but they were kind of bigger, and they were dark. I mean, and it was, she had total control of me, and I had no control over what was going on whatsoever. And she almost seemed to take delight in it. Well, later on, I started hearing from other people that they had the same experience. And in fact, one of my friend of mine, that I'm still in touch with, sent me some drawings of what he saw, and they were absolutely identical to my drawings.
I'm almost picturing like a Nagel.
A Nagel?
Yeah. The painter.
Oh. Well, almost like a Keen painting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of, slightly Asian, and that wasn't the last time I saw these beings. So
now, were they biological, or were they androids?
No, she seemed absolutely biological. I mean, the anatomy was very human. It's just that the eyes were so different, and the features very slight.
Are you comfortable in talking about this?
Oh, sure. Why not? Everybody is.
Okay. Because
it's okay. It's somewhat hard to talk about, sure, because it's so incredibly fantastic. It's just like in my show when during the talk show scene, and my good friend Steve Altman is playing the talk show. That's his real name, actually.
Yeah, Steve.
Very talented comedian, and I thought he was perfect for that role because I had been in that situation so many times. And he says, "Come on now, this is so fantastic. Can't you see why this is so unbelievable?" And Mark's sitting there saying, "Well, I'm just telling you, that's what happened."
Yeah, Steve should be a talk show host.
Oh, he should. He's a fantastic talent.
Yeah, he is. He's and that's a great scene. Okay, so when you started to have these sessions with Yvonne, were you able to remember everything that came out during the session?
Pretty much. I had a great deal of memory surrounding the events, but then there were these big sections of it that were missing, and it was pretty amazing stuff came out. Now, I've got to point out to listeners, we've all heard it before about hypnosis, and we hear how hypnotherapists can, whether they do it willingly or just because we're all human, we make mistakes sometimes, they will lead you. So do you see an alien in the room? And then, of course, there are those who say if they suggest that, then under hypnosis, that's what you're going to manifest. I got to make this really clear. Yvonne never did that. She was absolutely pure when it came to that. She would just take you back to a time when you remembered something happening, and she would ask you to relive it and report to her what you were seeing and feeling. And that was it. And some of these sessions were quite amazing. One time in particular, we've been under, and I've been doing a very long session. It was like an hour or something like that. And I don't remember all the details of that particular session, except for one part that I'll never forget. And that is when Yvonne went to wake me up. She couldn't wake me up. And that's because this tall gray, you've heard it before, who I always felt was female, and I felt that I had been in association with this being all my life, had hold of my throat, and she's looking at me and she's saying to me, "Why do you come to this woman? Don't you know she can't help you? If I don't want to let you go, I won't." And then with the thrust of her hand, she pushed me back, let go of my neck, and then Yvonne got me awake. And Yvonne, I could tell, was a little nervous, because she asked me what happened, and I told her.
Okay. The time span that we're talking here, 6 years old to these very adult experiences that were going. How old were you when the adult side of these things were happening?
Oh, I'd have to say high school.
High school. So
yeah.
We're talking about a 10-year span.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, it's been constant, off and on, and throughout my life.
Well, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. But this 10-year span that I want to get to, you just mentioned this female tall gray with the hand on your throat that you thought was with you from the entire time. Was that indeed the case? And especially looking back now, was it contact from the very same being or entity?
I just had a very funny sensation while you were asking me that. And the answer was yes.
Wow. And
it goes back further than 6 years old, because if you've been on Stellar, I know you are. Mm-hmm. And by the way, we so much appreciate this on Stellar. It's fantastic. But I put up a drawing I did of a being looking through the bars of a crib with a child with a teddy bear sleeping. Did you see that one?
I'm going to go there now, but go ahead.
Yeah, it's on one of my articles. That's a memory I have. And that predates being 6 years old.
Some of this artwork, everybody should go to Steve's page. Send him a friend request too as well. But go through and look at some of this artwork, because it is beyond measure, man. It's okay, yeah, I'm looking at it here. Well, that's pretty creepy.
That was done in the early 90s, so I had a little company called Dreamland Effects. Now, this predates anybody else using the title, and I used to sell artwork and sculptures of the Greys. Even Chris Carter bought a couple of them. And people would see the artwork also in the magazines and stuff, and I'd get all this email about that one in particular. It seemed that a great number of people had that memory of that face looking at them when they were just an infant.
What I'm reminded of, man, that is just a crazy painting, by the way.
Actually, it's a pencil sketch.
Pencil sketch. When I look at this, was this part of Yvonne? Was this a?
Yes, Yvonne, I have to give Yvonne a lot of credit for this. She encouraged, I remember one day she says to me, "Can you draw? Could you illustrate what you're seeing?" And I said, "Oh yeah, I can do that." So, and I ended up being an artist for her. And to this day, in her lectures that she does all around the world and conventions, she still uses a lot of that old artwork. I keep telling her, I need to give you some new stuff because I'm better now and all of this. So, but yeah, she was the one that really started that. And I produced hundreds of pieces of art during that period.
The other part of this, which I need to address, the cover of Whitley's book, and I went through the same things that not only you did, but our entire community. Everybody remembers the first time they picked up communion and looked at that cover. But your grays are part of, similar to my own experience, which I don't want to get into here on the air, but so many others too as well. How often does that happen where somebody comes up and goes, dude, that's exactly it?
It's still happening. I've still been getting, now of course I get emails, and people are indicating that all the time. And that's how I met Whitley, because he was doing the communion comics for Caliber, and he called me one night and said, this is Whitley Strieber, and he told me that my grays were very accurate, and how did I know this kind of thing? So it's been happening for years, and it still happens. It's been an amazing ride, amazing trip going through all this, and having so many people reach out to me. And now, of course, I have my book out, but by the same title, but Something Is There, and I'm getting lots of email about the book too, because in the book I go into real great detail about starting when I was very young and all the way up to present day. Something I couldn't do in the first pilot. I could just generalize what had happened to me to get people kick-started before I go into the really heavy scripts I'm writing now.
Before we move on and get to the break, I wanted to ask you about the inspiration behind the Regina painting. The Aboriginal.
Well, I've just always had a very strong connection with them and most of the Native American tribes of this country and other Native tribes. I think in part that's because my great-great-great-grandmother was a Blackfeet Indian, and I remember my grandfather had a picture of her, what she looked like. And so I'm about a quarter American Indian. So that could be part of it, but I've always had a really strong connection. And when I saw the movie by Peter Weir, who's one of my next favorite filmmakers to Kubrick, when I saw The Last Wave and Picnic at Hanging Rock,
right,
something just spoke to me. Another one was The Shout, which he didn't direct, but which was an incredible film too. And those three films really got me very fascinated with David Galufil, who of course played the Aborigine in The Last Wave, and he was also featured in The Right Stuff.
Right.
Just fascinated me. And when I saw the cave paintings, I don't think I don't have to have a house fall on me to know that those paintings are so similar to the visitors that people see today. And when you read the stories about them and what they were to the people, I know that something's there. Oh, there it is again.
This it's just an incredible painting, and I would like to almost see this in person. Do you still have it?
Oh, I still have it. Yeah, I just finished it the other day. I did it about a year ago. We actually had one person who's probably listening now on Stellar complain about it, that I didn't have a right to do an Aboriginal painting not being Aboriginal, and that I was going to have bad luck as a result.
Are you serious?
No, you can go to.
Well, I know. I trust you on that part.
I left the comment there because I don't take comments down.
Right. Oh,
I may not respond to them, but I don't.
Oh, you gotta love social media. But this is incredible, and I would love to have this hanging in the bunker. This is that is just an amazing piece of work. Let's take a break right here, and we're going to continue all of this when we come back. Our guest tonight, filmmaker, special effects guru, director, Steve Neill is here. That's right. We're talking about his new series, and it's called But Something Is There. More with Steve after this short break. Stay with us.
Hi everybody, this is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station. Salt Lake City, Utah. Van Buren, Arkansas.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now for a special radio offer from Angioprim. That's angioprim.com/radio. ANGIOPRIM. Angioprim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on the smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRARadio.com.
What can I say about the most popular tea on the internet? And what do customers say about Life Change Tea at GetTheTea.com? A lot. But by federal law, we at GetTheTea.com cannot make claims to how this product can enhance your health. We cannot even post our testimonies without being in compliance. So how do we get past the hump? Try our products at GetTheTea.com and see for yourself. You can send us a testimony, but we just can't post it. Bummer. Our products are GMO-free and organic. We pride ourselves in being the best we can be, and we urge you to take charge of your health. We're 11 years strong, and many of our customers have shared their successes with friends and family. Protect your colon. Log on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. GetTheTea.com. GetTheTea.com.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn
it. This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. Our guest tonight, Steve Neill. And Steve, I'm just going to tell you, your artwork is now all over Twitter, by the way. Everybody's got it up there. Are you on Twitter?
Yeah, I am. I haven't been there a lot lately, or Instagram, but I do have all of those. And like I said, it's a time issue, and I do check. I check on Stellar the most. Facebook is like, well, it's a necessary evil.
Right.
And I check YouTube, although I'm looking forward to Real TV. I hope that works out for him.
Well, we're going to have over at on Stellar very soon, maybe in about a week, we're going to have our own video channels too as well. So that's the next launch that will be coming in one of the next updates. I'm very excited about that. Now, the next 4 episodes, which you have written, are those? Is it going to be done in a linear fashion on your life? Is it going to just, if you know what I mean, a linear timeline?
No, I thought about that, and it's not going that way. The next script is called The Dream Time. The next one after that is called Strangers in the Night. Right. Grasping at straws and skullduggery are the next scripts that I'm writing, and each one of them goes into different aspects of the experience, because it has so many aspects to it. It's not just strangers coming in the night and taking you out of your room and taking you to a different location and observing you or even doing tests on you. Although I've had all that done, there's a great deal more to it, and it seems that overall the aspect that's most important to me and also to the interaction with these visitors, whoever they may be, is that we reconnect with our universe and reconnect with the many worlds that we've always existed in, but we have been told we don't. We've been told we don't have psychic abilities. We've been told there are not ghosts. We've told that you don't live after your brain ceased functioning. We've been told all these things for years and years by people in control. They don't want you to know that we live in multiple worlds. And it's difficult to come up with dialogue for this subject that really works, and it doesn't sound crazy. It all sounds crazy, but one of the issues is death. And I've had amazing experiences, as Whitley has had, and especially more recently with the passing of Anne, who I missed a great deal. That there is no end to our consciousness or to our souls once we pass on. I've had the same experience that Whitley has had. I had it much earlier in life, where someone died I loved and came to me and told me I was right about all this crazy stuff. And she even, as she was going off to leave, told me that I was right about the aliens too. That's what she called them. But there was absolutely no way that I knew this person was going to die, that they were sick or anything like that. It was a fluke accident. And I had this amazing experience. I wrote about it in my book, and I am now finding that there is a connection between the visitor experience and the other side. That actually, those two worlds actually exist together. It's just as a race of beings, as a culture, we have separated ourselves from it.
That aspect of it I find completely fascinating. And when I heard, this was years ago, when I first heard Whitley talk about that part of it, I really resonated with that. And that concept of it was something that I had never felt or heard from anybody else. And to hear Whitley speak about it, I'm telling you, that was a very, very life-changing thing for me to hear him present it like that. And going through to today, as we start to find out about scientifically other dimensions, parallel worlds, multiverses, and string theory, quantum theory, that this does indeed exist. And
yes,
that part of it is what I want to ask you about now. Is there, I know that you haven't fully answered these questions, but what about contemplating the possibility of what you are experiencing is actually us, maybe us from the future, that exist in another world, but it could be us, and it could be what is happening on the other side after we die?
Well, of course, I've entertained all these possibilities and all these theories, but I go back to about, was it 1978, when I had the experience with Judy. She's my girlfriend, and on this particular night, she spent a night at a friend's house, and I had come home from being out to dinner with a friend, and I remember she called me and she left a message. I didn't pick up because I was so exhausted. I just wanted to go to bed. I was going to call her in the morning. Next morning, I had a screening to go to of a movie called Battle Beyond the Stars, which I worked on with, which was a Roger Corman movie. And so I was very excited to go to that. But what happened around 6:30 in the morning is I had this amazing dream. And the dream, of course, was Judy. And she was, I've suddenly found myself floating in like clouds with this ridiculous new age sounding ambient music in the background and colored lights moving through the clouds. And she comes out butt naked except for a pair of underwear on, panties. And she floats up to me and she puts her arms around me and she says how incredible she felt, how beautiful all this was, and not to worry about her, that she had to move on, that she was going to go, but she had to come say goodbye. She had to tell me I was right. We do live after we die. And, oh, by the way, those silly aliens you always used to tell me about, they're real too. And we hugged, and it was an amazing emotional moment, and she left. And I woke up going, what the hell was that? It was a very powerful dream. I just thought it was a dream. I had no time for it. I was young. I couldn't wait to get to premiere and see my work on the big screen. When I came home from the screening, there were all these messages on my machine that she had died during the night around 6:30 in the morning, and she was found laying on the floor in a pair of panties, completely naked. So that I got ill.
Yeah.
2 weeks. For 2 weeks, I couldn't keep food down. I was just really, really, really sick, and I've never forgot it. And when I think about it, I just think to myself, what an incredibly beautiful little soul she had, that she made that effort to do that for me.
That's exactly where I was going. Okay, so you have all of the emotional side of that, and I get that. But probably, and not to be cavalier here, but to something even bigger than that is the verification of something else to us and this world. I mean, how tremendous is that?
It's huge. It happened to my mother, too. And I remember her telling me the story of waking up in the night and her grandmother sitting on the bed, and she said, I came to say goodbye to you. I really, really love you so much. And then the phone rang and she looked and her grandmother was gone. And then she heard my grandmother, her mother, on the phone in the hallway, and she broke into tears. And then she came in and said, honey, your grandmother just died. So on both sides of my family, this kind of thing is apparent.
There's something else to this too, Steve, which is science wants to tell us that once your brain stops, that's it, right? There's nothing else. There are no memories. There are no dreams. There aren't anything. Everything about you is now dead. It's done. And then we have something like this with Judy, which clearly represents the continuation and a connection not only with the soul, but with the universe and with you, and we have the ability to do just that. And the two now, I think, today, scientifically, are starting to join, and they're understanding that. But the soul doesn't stop when the brain stops.
No, and we can be with our loved ones still. I still see my late wife, Jilly, who passed from cancer back in 2013, a brutal battle with it, which she lost. And I constantly am having experiences with her when I'm asleep at night in a different world with her, and she's fine. And when it first started happening to me, I was so confused. I would see her daughter there, and everything seemed fine. And I said, this doesn't make any sense. Your mom died. I know she died. This can't be right. It took me a while to realize that something else was going on here, that it wasn't a dream, that it was actually real, and that Whitley and I talked about it a lot. And I'm still in touch, and it's because the way we are taught by our culture, we resist these things happening to us, and it can make you crazy. In fact, it could be part of the reason the world is so crazy is that it can't accept that we're part of that world on the other side as much as we're part of this one, and that if the two could come together and we live in both of them, I think people will be in less of a hurry and less likely to want to hurt each other and steal from each other and everything else if they knew that it didn't all end when that brain stopped functioning.
How connected is everything, Steve? If one of these elements of the paranormal or the supernatural, our community, if one domino falls, and I say this all the time, don't they all fall?
Well, I think so. I know that all these, I avoid that word believe. I really don't like it. The poster says, I want to believe. I want to know. And it's okay not to know. And what I know is that all these events, all these phenomena are connected. They're not separate.
And that also, I think that extends, off planet, off planet to other planets, but I mean the universe in general. And if we are just now coming to terms with that and trying to prove that scientifically, and so we can move on, well, certainly something out there, another culture that is 10,000, 1 million years more advanced than us, they figured that out a long time ago.
Well, funny enough, if you talk to the elders and the tribal elders of this world, you talk to the indigenous people of many, many lands on this earth, whether it be the Native Americans or the Aborigines, you're gonna hear that they have already come to terms with this a long time ago.
So well represented in what was Apollo 13? What was the movie?
Oh, you're thinking of The Right Stuff?
Yeah, The Right Stuff.
Well, if you've never seen The Last Wave, you need to see that movie.
Oh, The Last Wave is incredible.
Yeah, and that really goes into it too. I mean, these ancient people, I will never use the word primitive because they were the furthest thing from primitive. They openly and freely talked to their dead and talked to the sky people and knew that their dreams were more, and they walked in them in other worlds and benefited from this composite of all this different states of being.
And I'm looking at the clock here, man. I don't want to run out of time, and if we do, I'm going to keep you over for a few minutes of overtime. You don't have a choice. But talking about all of these subjects and your experience in Hollywood, certainly we have Kubrick and we have Spielberg. Spielberg seems to want to do nothing but make films on this subject matter. He's done so many. And I think that most of us forget how many he's actually done on E.T. and the subject. You just go back and look at his IMDb page, and then you start to remember. Most people don't remember films like Super 8, right? They always, if you know what I mean, they remember the E.T. or they remember Close Encounters, but he has done a ton of films on this. Is there something that, like Kubrick and Spielberg, do you think that they're in the know? Do you think that they've been read in? Is there a message that Hollywood is trying to drip feed us?
I can't say for sure, but I sure do think some of them are. Now, there are some things that I know about that I literally don't know if it's okay to talk about an interaction I had with Jacques Vallée once. But I can say that watching his films, and particularly Close Encounters, one of the scenes that most impressed me about how much he really knows about the subject and how it's handled and controlled and spun by the media is the scene where Neary is in the news conference with Gillian, and he's trying to talk about her boy being taken, about what he had seen, and this lunatic suddenly speaks out and says, "I once saw a Bigfoot."
Right,
and he
right.
spreads two ashtrays. And you watch all the media's attention, all the cameras turn to him, and the woman who lost her child and Mr. Neary sit there just dumbfounded.
The aspect of the media treating it that way, they constantly running with the X-Files music and then cracking a joke, is exactly what you're talking about there. And that Bigfoot scene is exactly represented on how it's been spun. And I couldn't agree with you more. I want to say this, though. Jacques Vallée is an alien.
Well, he's certainly tall, and he was so kind to me. And he took me. I was on the Vicki Lawrence show, and he took me aside, and he told me some things that I won't share here because I never saw him write about it. But he told me some things, and with regards to 2001, that movie too.
Close Encounters.
Close Encounters, yeah. But one of the things he said to me was that he believed my story, he believed our stories, and he thought that this was really about us, not about the government, not about the investigations, but this was for us, that we were important to this experience. And it was almost identical to what Francois Truffaut said in the film. And it really was a chilling moment because he was, he sort of stooped down to me. I'm almost 6 foot, but he was towering over me. And at least that's what it seemed at the time. And it really, that and some other things he told me I can't talk about or shouldn't talk about, absolutely blew my mind.
There was a series of interviews and I talked to him about this. There's a series of interviews that he did, I believe, like at San Francisco State. There's some college up there. And they're from the 80s with, I think it was Professor Love, I think was his name. But anyway, you can find them online, and they're really amazing. But anyway, Jacques' eyes had a look to them back then, and I was so captivated with that. And so when I finally got to, hang out with Jacques a little bit a couple of years ago and talk to him privately, I'm looking into his eyes. I'm like, this is like the smartest guy I have ever, been with. I could feel there's something going on there. Yep. And I can't quite figure it out, Steve. I can't. But he's got some knowledge. He's got some knowledge on this subject. And I don't think he has let us know everything. I think he's been holding back.
He has been holding back, but he does not hold back to people who are experiencers who he believes are telling the truth.
And back
now, he didn't tell me don't share this with anyone, but he didn't tell me I could either. So out of respect for Jacques, I have told other people. I even spoke about it at Yvonne's group, but I won't do it on national radio or any public venue because he never told me whether it was safe to talk about it or not.
Yeah, he's much taller than 6 foot, by the way. I've got some pictures of the two of us together, and I'm 6 foot, and me
too.
Yeah, he towered over me.
I got a picture of myself standing on stage with him, and he's standing right next to me, and on the other side of him is Jimmy Doohan and Walter Koenig and Chad Everett and Marina Sirtis. It was an amazing show on Vicki Lawrence that I did back during the 90s.
Back to Hollywood. Before we get to the break, I'm gonna keep you over for a few minutes, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Back to Hollywood. There seems to be an easy way to get a film greenlit, and that is an alien picture. And we have had, over the last couple of years, a run of pretty extraordinary films, like Arrival. Yes. Why is it that they get greenlit? Do you think that it's part of the production team and the presidents and the vice presidents and the head of productions and they're fans of the genre? Or is it that the audiences need to see this? They buy the tickets, right?
Yeah, they do. But, as far as I know, Arrival was not that well received. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it didn't do that well.
Which would say what?
Whenever I see a film like this, I always look to Mary and say, this was terrific. Everyone told me this was a piece of garbage, that I wouldn't like it. This is amazing. The things they were talking about towards the end of the film were very much what we're talking about right now.
That's right.
Especially about how time is not linear. And it's absolutely not. We have made it that. But my big question was, who pays for these things? Who puts out this enormous amount of money? And it only does so well. I always had problems getting anything financed that I felt was an intelligent approach to the subject matter. If it was Independence Day or something like that, yeah, it's going to be full of action. But a movie like Arrival, you really had to think about.
Oh, it was. Rita and I walked away from the first time that we saw that film, and we were walking to the car, and I said, so what'd you think? And we weren't even talking. We were still contemplating about what we just viewed.
Yeah.
And Rita's response to me was, somebody knows something. There was too much in that film, and from a completely unique point of reference, from not only the communication and how that was done, but the reasons why they were here, the time, the linear time aspect of it, the conflict between nations and how that was handled. That was a story-driven, scientific film. It was not easy. You're absolutely right. That wasn't popcorn. That wasn't an action thriller. It was about thinking. And
yeah, and neither was Interstellar or 2001: A Space Odyssey, for that matter.
Right.
I remember being at a MUFON event. I was speaking and showing my artwork, and when I said that probably the most significant movie besides the UFO incident with James Earl Jones and Estelle Parsons done in the 70s, 2001: Space Odyssey was one of the most significant films made in relationship to this phenomenon. And they looked at me like I just said, and I ate a goat for dinner or something. They just kind of looked at me blank, like, what the heck does that movie have to do with alien abduction?
Well, that's and it goes back to the point that I can't get this out of my head, Steve, which is there is an agenda here with filmmaking in Hollywood, and it's I think the message is pretty clear. And when we look at these days of disclosure that we're going through now, when the big event happens, right? Whether it's an Independence Day type of event or not. But we're going to be pretty accepting of the situation when it happens because we've seen it all before.
It's already happening. I mean, it's amazing to me when the Defense Department released that footage and when the Pentagon admitted to what that they had been covering up, and it was everywhere. People went, "Oh, that's nice."
Yeah. That's exactly what happened.
They're numb, comfortably numb.
No, but that's exactly what happened. And everything that, like the Brookings or Condon, or you look at any of the stuff that was officially released as scientific study on how the world would accept it, well, the opposite happened. It wasn't Orson Welles, right? It wasn't War of the Worlds. It was about as polarizing and 180 degrees in the other direction as it could have been. It was pretty blasé, the reaction. And silence also from the Vatican. I got to take a break right here, Steve. Stay right there. We'll do a little overtime right after this. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. Stay with us.
And you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
Hurricanes, earthquakes, wildfires. This year we've experienced more than our fair share. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and last month I decided to make sure my family does not have to worry about food should we get caught in a real emergency situation. Introducing Numana, a healthy, storable product that tastes so good that you'll want to eat it every day instead of just during those times of duress. All Numana products have a 25-year shelf life, are MSG and GMO-free, no preservatives, and are made in America. With the Numana pack in your home, you'll be able to sleep at night knowing that you've protected your family. Not only have I tasted and tested, I own it. Now you can too. Just click on the Numana banner on JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code Jimmy when you order. In addition to a discount, we'll send you an autographed Fade to Black t-shirt. Seriously, go Beckley Tappy. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hey, can we talk about something serious for a minute? Your age. Getting old has its perks. But remember, being a few years younger, you know, your hair was thicker, you didn't have so many wrinkles, that extra weight wasn't haunting you, and you just felt better. Well, we can't turn back the clocks and go back 10 or 15 years, but you can start feeling and looking 10 or 15 years younger with Nature's Youth RSF. It's a doctor-formulated daily supplement that helps your body maintain its peak performance and fight the aging process. Imagine sleeping better, looking better, and feeling better. See how Nature's Youth RSF has helped thousands of people just like you at natureyouth.com. Natureyouth.com. The holidays are coming. Imagine how it will feel when your family and friends are asking you what you did to look so good. Your secret will be Nature's Youth RSF. It's time to start looking better and feeling better. Learn more and order your Nature's Youth RSF at natureyouth.com. That's natureyouth.com.
It's It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I want to remind everybody our Soul Tech Gathering is going down at ECETI Ranch August 9th through the 12th. Just go to the links right there at jimmychurchradio.com to soultechgathering.com. We've got James Gilliland speaking, Jason Quidd, Matthew Ryan, Michaela Sheldon, Teresa Yanaris, Holly Marie, Mary Gabrielle, John Lund, Dana Harvey, Billy Carson, Laura Cantu, and Christine Contini. We're going to be up there teaching for 4 days, August 9th through the 12th, soultechgathering.com. We've got some limited tickets still available, and everything that you need is right there, soultechgathering.com. Our guest tonight is Steve Neill, filmmaker, special effects guru. Do you like that title? I mean, I can't.
Oh, sure, why not?
I mean, you know. Now, I want to go back. I want to ask some deeper questions about your experiences, and one of them is this. Did you ever see, I don't want to ask a leading question here, but I'm going to. Did you see any military, any uniforms, anything like that when you were in these rooms, or what could have been craft?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, there's a transcript taken from, which has a lot of misspellings in it, I found out later. Somehow that was overlooked during the editing process, but nevertheless, it was a transcript verbatim of the tapes that Yvonne had of me, and it was called Head Wound, is what she called it, and it was one of many, and I did. And in this particular case, I pretty much remembered everything that happened and how I was taken out of my house and taken up into one of those dark holes, and it ended up in this facility. It looked like a hospital. And it was a mix of human beings, doctors with white smocks on and ID badges, and the Greys. And I was taken to an operating room of sorts, and it looked very, very human, not visitor style at all. And they put me on this table, and they put this device on my head. They immobilized me, and they sedated me somewhat, and they put this device on my head, which whirled its way into my skull. It was a little painful, but the device had a way of numbing you. It felt cold, so if you're very cold, you don't feel pain as much in a particular area. And these smaller Gray types did this to me. And when they were done, this doctor came in, and I can describe him exactly. He was about 44, 45. He's balding on top, dark hair, wire-rimmed glasses, mustache. And he was kind of a cocky sort of guy. And he came in, and he was looking at what they did, and he said, this isn't supposed to look this way. What did you do? Don't you know he's going to know something happened? And he was really upset because it did leave a hole in my head. And it left a little scar. And that was one time. And I remember I went to my dear friend Roger Lear, and he looked at the injury and told me that the clear fluid coming out was spinal fluid of some type. And there was a hole right through my skull, straight into my brain. And then other times I was, again, in a facility like this. And one time I was on a table. There were a lot of other people in the room, also passed out on tables. And I got up, and there was no one around. And I pushed open doors and walked in this hallway. I was really disoriented. And one of the taller Grays just came out of this door and looked at me like, "You're not supposed to be here." And then it ran off. And I said, "Oh." So I ran down the hallway a ways. I opened these doors, and I walked out into this cavernous expanse. and it was like a cavern had been dug out underground, and they had built these buildings. They built the buildings just in this huge cave that was artificial, that had been bored out somehow. And I could hear Jeeps driving around and all kinds of military signs. And many of the times I saw the actual military. I was in the back seat with another experiencer, and we were driving through this tunnel, and we were stopped, and there were military people there checking IDs and stuff. Yes, it's happened a number of times. It hasn't happened in years, but this was during the period in the 90s. A lot of people were claiming they were going to underground bases in China Lake and places out in the Tehachapi and Edwards Air Force area. I don't know that for sure, but it sure felt like it, and it happened a lot.
What does do you contemplate those aspects of it, that some of these abductions and experiences are our own government doing this, possibly to mislead, so those that are experiencing will go out and talk about this and get taken one of two ways. Either they're completely nuts and crazy and making it all up, or B, that these alien abductions are real, but they may not necessarily be alien abductions. It may be us doing it.
Well, that's true, and I've contemplated that as well. I really don't know for sure. It could be that they're taking advantage of the situation, abducting us, and to examine us, to run tests, to see what the visitors are doing, because they may be in despair, not knowing what's being done to so many millions of people. And I think it is in the millions. I think a lot of people never remember it, don't even know it's happening.
Right.
But one of the things I experienced quite often, and you know about the Coronado.
Oh, yeah, I have the book here, sure.
Yeah, well, Sam is me, and that's when
I didn't know that. What? You're Sam in Coronado?
That's correct.
Oh, see, Ivana's good. She never told me.
Well, the thing is my late wife wanted me out of this. She was scared to death by this whole thing, but that's another half hour to an hour. But so I when Vaughn wrote the book, I said, please don't use my name because it'll upset my wife. One of the things that wasn't in there, and I know came out in her hypnosis, was when the gentleman I was staying with in the same room, and we were both taken, I came to, and I was floating on my back, cold in the sky with this blue light, this dark hole over the top of me, the one I'm used to seeing, and there were two military helicopters, and there was looked like a police helicopter, and they're hovering just outside the field of the beam, and they have their beams on us, watching this whole thing happen. And when they took us up through this black hole, which I'm starting to think more and more, this is sort of dimensional opening, or literally some kind of black hole that tears an opening in time space as we know it, to be able to transport us from one place to another. Again, everyone listening, this is just theory. This is just a hunch I have. It's not set in stone. But once we're in there, I'm sitting on a table with the visitors, and my friend is on a table, and they're doing all kinds of tests and probing him, and he's resisting, and he's crying out, and I'm saying, well, how come this isn't being done to me? And they told me that I was different, that it wasn't like him, and the agenda with me was different than the agenda with him.
Well, and what this suggests is the third possibility here, which is cooperation between ET and our government, and that is the other part of this, which is probably just as equally scary as scenario number one or number two.
It is, and of course it worries you. It worried me a great deal back during the 90s because it was happening so often. But again, ultimately, I don't know. I'm okay with that. I don't know, but I really hate to theorize and be wrong.
Now, Before we really run out of time, which is going to be in a few minutes when I sign off the network, Coronado, I think some of the audience knows about the book. I've certainly talked about it and interviewed Yvonne. But Coronado takes place down in San Diego, but at the hotel. But there's another aspect to this which needs to be talked about, and it's who else from our government was at that hotel.
Yeah, I don't know. And this isn't the first time this has happened, because another time I was in Moore Park at a MUFON event, and we spent the night in a hotel. Whitley was above me. I was below him in the room below him, and it was a really rough night.
What happened?
I don't remember a lot of it at all. But what I remember is I had a Gauss meter that Roger Lear gave me. He said, "Take this with you, and use it on your room." So I did, and I was just getting readings, amazing radiation readings off my bed, off the TV, off in the bathroom. It was all over the place. It was like the whole place was bugged or something. And that night, we all went to bed, and I woke up so hungover. I knew something had happened. I didn't remember what had happened, and my back hurt. I remember it hurt really bad. I checked the room again, and there were no readings on the Gauss meter whatsoever. It was completely flatlined. And I went and saw Whitley and Ann, and I told them what happened. It seemed that everybody there had some sort of incident that night. And when I showed him my back, he kind of recoiled and said, "Oh, my goodness," because I had all these scratches on my back and like burns up my spine. That took a long time to go away, and many of the people there that night also claimed that they had something happen. So it seems that sometimes when groups of and there's a large number of Yvonne's group there, and Yvonne, when they get together, that this will happen.
What was your last contact?
My last contact was several nights ago. I woke up and my hallway has a certain amount of nightlight coming down it, and it was backlighting a gray figure standing right to the edge of the bed. And my first thought when I saw it was, "Oh, Mary must have got to go to the bathroom." Even though it was shaped nothing like her, healthy skepticism and a healthy brain will do that. It'll automatically go to the most logical thing that could be. And then I looked over at her to see, if she was next to me, and she was, and I looked back and it was gone. Prior to that, just a few nights before that, we had some disturbances in the house and some lights shining around inside. I also had one right next to me by the bed, backlit by bright lights coming through my shutters, which were closed, but it was coming through the cracks. But probably one of the most amazing things that happened, and you saw it in the end of the show, but something is there. And that's what happened with Whitley and I when I saw the triangle. What you saw at the end there exactly happened.
Now, what he's referring to, now that's a really cool scene. I haven't had anything quite that incredible, but similar. Also, man, I had a black triangle sighting. I've got the photograph right here. I pulled it up. I shot on film, Steve, up in Monterey.
Wow.
And I'll hold it up to the cameras right here. Here's the picture.
I don't have picture right here, but if you could email me that, I would love to see it.
It's I shot it in 1995 on a 35 millimeter camera, and I'm up at the beach in Monterey. We were walking between Monterey and Pebble Beach, right? So we're walking down the beach, and I took this picture. There was something up shooting across the sky. And you go and you look at this picture, it looks like clouds, right? That's what it looks like. But right in the middle of this picture is a little black dot. And then you put a jeweler's loop on it. It's way up in the clouds. You put a jeweler's loop on it, It's like 60,000 feet. It's like crazy.
Right.
It's a black pyramid. It's crazy. It was shooting across the sky, then stopped, and then curled around and shot up at the end of the cloud and went into the blue and just disappeared. But I happened to catch this one shot. I'll put my finger on it for everybody. The black dot is right at the tip of my finger. You can I'm holding it up to the camera. There it is. You can see it right there. It's crazy. You put the jeweler's loop on it, and all you can say is, WTF?
Exactly.
What is that?
Well, when I saw that with Whitley, it was, I have been seeing a lot of craft up close and personal on all my life, but, it just never gets old. I mean, and that's the first triangle. That's the second triangle. The first one was with Mary when we were just starting to go out. And, of course, nothing would do that she would have an experience with me. But that one that night with Whitley and being on the phone with him was just amazing. I can't put it into words. So, and the message I got, there's still hope. Don't give up.
Now, you mentioned this earlier, so I want to stay on this. When so much today, whether it's channeling or direct communication, and you've had the same things happen, where the message seems to be pretty clear. It's a positive one. It's not a negative one. Is that where we are at now?
I hope so. I mean, it seems positive, or is it just we want it to be positive, and what it really is practical, that it's the right thing to do. I've never been harmed that I know of. I certainly have. I have implants. I have one exactly like Whitley in my ear. I found amazing things in my body on X-ray, but I'm still very healthy, very much alive. I'm 66 years old. I do yoga every morning, 2-mile walk. I'm very limber. My health is good. I've never been harmed. I've been terrorized to a degree. I've been frightened. I've been putting through terrible ordeals through experiences with them, but it always seemed in the end to be something that elevated my consciousness and my ability to perceive the world in a way that made more sense.
How does the communication happen? Do they actually speak?
I've heard them speak, and it's breathless, and it's like in the center of your mind. But then again, sometimes I just feel it. I did with that message that night. It was something it felt like I used to do my own developing and printing and photography. I've always been a photographer and a camera nut. And when you would develop in the dark room in the red light and you're developing the 8x10 black and white print would sort of fade up, it had that kind of feeling. It's difficult to put into words.
Have you, what about current sightings? I understand the black triangle, but what I'm referring to is what I do now with groups of people where we go out and sky watch, night vision goggles, and I've seen some pretty extraordinary things that I've been very, very public about. What do you think about those sightings today? And do you do it?
I haven't. I'd like to. I have 3 amazing telescopes, one quite large, and I'm dying to get out and go to a star party. I keep telling Whitley he's got to come with me. He wants to, and bring his grandson. I would very much like to do that, because whenever I do, and the last time I was out camping with some friends and they were skeptical, they witnessed some amazing things, just like you're talking about. It completely changed their lives. But one of the most incredible ones is when I was in Fraser Park with my friend Mark, and we were doing deep sky photography through our Celestrons, and he started shining a light at me. And to make a long story short, I got pissed off, stopped the exposure, and turned over to him and started to say, "What do you think you're doing? You know better than it, Mark." And he's got his back to me, away from his telescope, and he's staring at this large sphere. And that's when I realized that it's completely silent. There's not a cricket, a breath of air, anything. There's this huge sphere sort of an amber color hovering very close to us. So I start to go over to it, and he says, "Don't do it. It could be dangerous. Don't go." He was very frightened, and I walked over to it, and it backed away from me, and it backed away more, and it backed away more, and finally it went off across the little valley there and over the mountains, and it disappeared. And of course, the next day when I got home, he talked all about it to my late wife, and she remembered him talking about it. 2 weeks later, he didn't remember it, not even a little bit. So that can happen.
Wow.
He doesn't remember it to this day.
Okay, I'm trying to picture this, and we've got 3 minutes.
Okay.
Are you saying, I understand the telescopes and stuff, and the flash, and you turn around and it wasn't him flashing you. Boy, that sounded weird.
Yeah.
But it was a sphere. How big was it? How far away from it were you?
Maybe 100 feet or so.
Wow.
And
wow.
It had shined a light at us is what happened.
Right.
It shined a light right on us, and it caught the corner of my eye. That's what I remember about it. And Vaughn and I did do a session on that evening because we went back and stayed at this cabin. And amazing things happened that night.
Wow. How big was it?
How big was it?
Yeah.
I mean, if I had to estimate, maybe 30 feet across, but it wasn't what I experienced under hypnosis later on. I mean, I did see that under hypnosis. Everything was the same. But later that night, the cabin, the classic lights came in the windows, and then the grays came in, and they took me, and I went into the kitchen, and they had me by the hand, and we're heading towards this door, and I'm thinking, aren't they going to open it? And the next thing I knew, we both went right through the door, and I felt this little tug on me, like I had passed through something, and they took us out into the woods because this is Fraser Park, and the cabin was just like right in the woods, and deep inside was this big saucer-shaped object sitting there, just kind of floating, that we went inside. And it was classic flying saucer stuff. It was amazing.
And he doesn't remember any of it.
Doesn't remember any of it. He did report nightmares to me some weeks later. He said that lights were coming in his window, and he saw a big saucer outside, and he didn't know why he was having these nightmares. And I said, "Mark, don't you remember anything about what happened up there?" He said, "No, I don't remember a thing." I thought we stopped looking at the stars and went back to the cabin. I said we did, but it was like that scene in Alien when they're trying to get out of there, and they're down below, and they're throwing all this. We're just tossing our equipment into the car to get out of there. But that was after we seen the object.
What's up next for you, and when can we not only hopefully see the series, but when are you going to start shooting the second episode?
Well, shortly I'm going to start a campaign, a crowdfunding campaign. I'm going to try it to see if it works before I go to private sources. I'm going to do a crowdfunding. I'm hoping that enough people in the community see and are aware of the project to want to help us do another episode, and then another episode, and then another episode. So, and also people who do contribute to that will be allowed to see the first episode.
Well, it's you've got the scripts are ready to go. I mean,
they're pretty much ready to go. I still have to go back over them. I've got one left to finish, two left to finish actually, but they're all blocked out. So we're really in a position where and I am talking to some film companies and some people to see if maybe they want to just pick up the whole thing. We'll see what happens.
And
you know how it is.
I do.
It's just like, but we actually finished a pilot. We did it ourselves, and that counts for a lot. We're not full of bull, and we don't just have a trailer. And it's been very well received, mostly by people who have these experiences. They're the ones that gush about it the most.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I'm just waiting for the rest of it. And the book is available too as well.
That's on Amazon. If you just type in "But Something Is There" or Steve Neill, you'll get the book. And it goes into all kinds of amazing details about experiences I had with my other grandparents up in Ventura, California, and a lot of other things that have happened to me.
Fantastic conversation tonight, Steve.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. Give my best to Mary, and I can't wait to get you back on the show. Thank you so much.
I'll be happy to come back. Thanks so much, Jimmy.
Steve Neill. And you can just go to jimmychurchradio.com, steveneillsgarage.com. The links are there. And, of course, butsomethingisthere.net. Both links are over at jimmychurchradio.com. Fade to Black's executive producers Rita Camurian. Shows produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Bob's. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vito, and Mark D. Kovar. Our webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and syndication is KGRA, The Planet. This broadcast owned and copyrighted 2018 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Tomorrow night, right here, Lori McDonald. Until then, everybody be safe. Go Beckley Teppy.